One border, two adversaries.
In the past 5 years, Pakistan has acquired almost 70 to 80% of its weapons and equipment from China.
Pakistan was the front face. We had China providing all possible support.
There was no unusual activity on the northern borders during the duration of this conflict.
China perhaps has seen is that he is able to test his weapons against, say, various other weapon systems that are there. It's like a live lab which is available.
How much of state support will be there? It's very difficult to define in that particular process.
So he was getting live inputs as far as from China. So that is one place we really need to move fast.
When this information turns into intelligence, is also very difficult to define.
Few lessons that I thought I must flag as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned. Firstly, one border, two adversaries. So we saw Pakistan one side, but adversaries were two, and if I would say actually four or three actually. So Pakistan was the front face. We had China providing all possible support, and it's no surprise because if you were to look at statistics, in the last 5 years, 81% of the military hardware that Pakistan is getting is all Chinese, 81% of that. So it's no surprise. And China, of course, the good old dictum, killed by a borrowed knife, 36 stratagems that China talks about, killed by a borrowed knife. So he would rather use the neighbor to cause pain than getting involved in the mud slinging match on the northern border. So that is what he's seen. And another thing that China perhaps has seen is that he's able to test his weapons against, say, various other weapon systems that are there. It's like a live lab which is available to. So it's a good, that is what is something we have to be very, very cognizant about. Again, Turkey also played a very important role in providing the type of support that was there. Bayraktar, of course, he's been giving from before. We saw numerous other drones also coming in, landing in the face of war, during the war, along with trained sort of individuals who were there. The next important lesson is the importance of C4 ISR and civil military fusion. There is a lot to be done as far as this domain is concerned. When the DGMO level talks were going on, Pakistan actually was mentioning that we know that your such and such important sort of vector is primed and it is ready for action. I would request you to perhaps, pull it back. So he was getting live inputs as far as from China. So that is one place we really need to move fast and take appropriate action. I talked about electronic warfare, and need for robust air defense system is something, again, our population centers also need to be protected. Of course, as far as the other, we do not have the luxury like, we would have been seeing the way Israel, they have the Iron Dome and a number of other air defense features that they have. We do not have a luxury because our country is vast. So, and such things cost a lot of money. So we need to, again, look at innovative solutions. Another lesson, I think, from Operation Sindoor was need for a secure supply chain. So we found, Mr. Ashok again talked about that the pain because an equipment was not inducted on time. He was looking at it from the industry point of view, but I was looking at it from a military perspective, that an equipment which was supposed to get in by, say, January or last October, November, was not available to us. And in the face, and when on 22nd of the previous month, that is April, when all this happened, and when I actually addressed, I don't know, some of you may be there, when I addressed the drone manufacturers, that how many of you can, provide the equipment that you're supposed to in the stipulated time. A lot of hands went up, but when again I called them after 1 week, nothing came by. The reason is because our supply chains. We are still dependent on a lot of things from outside. Had all those equipment been made available, the story may have been a little different, right? So it is both sides. We need to look at that.
Conceptual to the operational that has emerged very operationally vital for us. How should we assess those, that linkage, and how prepared are we to take on the new dimension, which was always there, but this time we saw its operational results in real time, very quick, 4 days, a few hours, and with some very significant results for us and for the region.
Maybe it's a very difficult question to answer, firstly, because a lot has been said on both sides. But I'll base my answer on facts, actually, and some reasonable assumptions. So the first fact which I want to tell the audience over here is that there was no unusual activity on the northern borders during the duration of this conflict, which is different. In past conflicts, there had been trouble on the borders. Maybe this is a short conflict. That's an assumption I can make. But that's a fact that there was no activity on the northern borders. The second fact is that we all know that in the past 5 years, Pakistan has acquired almost 70 to 80% of its weapons and equipment from China. So that's a fact. And a reasonable assumption would be that Chinese as OEMs will have commercial liabilities which they have to fulfill, and will have people in Pakistan. So, and we all know today in defense companies, there are always ex-servicemen who work there, there are civilians who work there. So there would be people who would be meeting their commercial obligation. That equipment has to service, it has to function. It happens for India also, it happens for all countries. If we get equipment from Singh, right, we will have to have. Third thing we can talk about is information. So today we seek information from open sources, we look at satellite images. So we may look at, we've seen all those images of Maxar, Planet Lab. There are a number of Chinese companies also doing this on a commercial basis. So you could go to them, or you could go to US for purchase of this commercial imageries. So that's possible. How much of state support will be there, it's very difficult to define in that particular process. When this information turns into intelligence is also very difficult to define. Means unless you are factually correct or you have evidence of it, so that assessment making is wrong, because all this is, one to the other, it's slightly linked with each other. I'll leave it at that.